and welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. You know, in the past, I have been far too vindictive and mean to creators on this show. Not always. I will stand by aggression towards creators who have been bigoted, Frank Miller, Gary Brodsky, but there have been times where I have been unjustly pissed off at people over what's really a difference of opinion. One of those that comes to mind is Joe Quesada. Say what you will about One More Day, and I have said a lot, but me screaming at the camera that he's a hack is out of line. No, really, it is. He didn't write the segment that got me to scream that, and really it was built around a creative decision. A decision that I firmly believe is wrong for Peter Parker and who his character is. But ultimately, he was trying to do what he thought was best for the character too, and I shouldn't condemn someone for a bad creative decision. All creators do that, and in the future, both the near and far variety, we will be talking about creators who made mistakes and were vilified for it. Sometimes by myself at that. I am just a superhero comics fan, and my opinion is no more valid than anyone else's. I should call bad work bad, but I should never attack a creator so aggressively for a creative decision I disagree with. That's not cool. I'll criticize decisions, sure, but ultimately we're here to talk about the quality of the work itself and how much effort a creator will pour into said work. So anyway, let's talk about how lazy a creator Greg Land is to the point where he traced the Starship Enterprise for friggin' backgrounds. Is Greg Land a bad person? I don't think so. I've never heard any controversies about the guy related to him as a person, so he might be an amiable, wonderful, not bigoted, enthusiastic kind of man. But as an artist, he is awful. Sacrificing consistency in character models to trace the same damn things over and over and over and over and over and over, and we've seen it a ton already in this series. You think about George Perez putting in so much work on JLA/Avengers that he actually injured himself. He cared that much about doing the best possible job he could. And then you have Land's boring, lackluster tracing that he had no problem giving to Marvel the Cell, and Marvel itself seeing no problem with telling people to pay for it. And you can't even argue that the story makes it worth it. Barely anything has happened in 4 issues! To sum up, Ultimate Reed Richards, in an attempt to finally find a cure for Ben Grimm's condition, sent out a few probes to other dimensions. However, one of the probes unwittingly brought with it strange microbes to the Supreme Power Universe, creating some kind of organic mass that's consuming their planet. They forcibly took Reed Richards back with them, and now a strike team of various Ultimate Universe characters are on their way to the Supreme Power Universe to take him back. Also, Nick Fury is up to secret shenanigans on the bridge of the Enterprise based on the traced art. So let's dig into Ultimate Power number 5 and see how much more nothing will be happening.
Linkara's gonna teach you all a lesson you won't learn. Brodsky, you're not the smartest. Life out, you're not an artist. Anyone who's had a bad comic published, it could be your turn. Linkara, he's a man punch, wears a birdie hat. Linkara, he has a magic gun. Where'd he purchase that? Linkara, coins, robots, Amazon and trucks. Linkara, this comic sucks. Linkara.
Reading from a trade, so no cover analysis, not that it's particularly interesting to begin with, but this does give me a chance to clear up some confusion I had from last time, namely that the writers changed hands after issue 3. Yes, issues 1 to 3 were written by Brian Michael Bendis, 4 to 6 by J. Michael Straczynski, and 7 to 9 by Jeff Loeb. The reason why it was done like this is because the Kool-Aid Man is red. Yeah, I couldn't find anything that explains why the hell this is the case. My best guess is that it's because Bendis had originally created Ultimate Spider-Man and written it for the longest time, Straczynski was the writer of Supreme Power, and Loeb would become the Ultimates writer after Mark Miller, doing both Ultimates 3 and Ultimatum, so that's a great track record right there. Although why they didn't just work in a collaborative capacity on all the issues to maintain consistency rather than just having them each write 3 is beyond me. Anyway, we open with the S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier arriving in the Supreme Power universe with Thor at the front. General Fury, we've got incoming!
You think?
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. I'll just assume you can psychically detect what's happening outside of the ship and then not report on what's going on. This is why you get paid more than me. Hyperion is the aforementioned incoming, and Thor is sent to intercept him. And I'm pretty sure Greg Land just traced the two in the exact same pose, same kind of muscle in their arm for this shot. Admittedly, I'll give you that from a composition standpoint it looks cool, but I think this is the first time he traced the same thing in consecutive panels. Oh, and despite the first page establishing Mjolnir is in Thor's right hand, it's suddenly in his left hand. I'm basing that off of the lightning effects, aimed right at Hyperion. And then in the next page, they're no longer flying right at each other, but floating in the air exchanging punches with Mjolnir back in his right hand.
Space is warped and time is bendable.
I say exchanging punches, but it looks more like Hyperion swung at him and missed, while Thor is just trying to give him a big hug, since his punching hand is just somewhere behind Hyperion's back. Oh, dude. The Thing and Spidey react like what just happened was the most impressive, epic thing they have ever beheld, while I'm still just trying to figure out why Thor is yawning. Nick Fury dispatches Sue and Johnny Storm out to get help.
They're too evenly matched, and I don't like to lose.
And I figure putting some people much more squishable than Thor to be turned into targets will keep me from losing. He also says it's to help him buy some time to find Reed, which gets them to go and help. Both Spidey and Captain America object to this.
Except for Iron Man, who I'm keeping in reserve, those are the only people I can spare who can fly or levitate or whatever. You want to try webbing across on the clouds or skimming the air on that shield? Feel free.
Okay, Cap, new plan forming. I sit on your shield and then you launch me at Hyperion. He also thinks, quite bluntly, that the others are expendable. Reed is the one they need to make sure comes back. Expendable?
Reed Richards, with everything he knows, could give our enemies enough information to destroy our world.
Yeah, but he's also in the process of destroying a world because of what he didn't know, so I think it goes either way at this point. He's that smart? Fine, next time he's buying lunch. Dude lives in a big-ass government-funded tower and has action figures and super expensive dimensional portal tech. Was he not picking up the check beforehand? Oh, who am I kidding? Ultimate Reed Richards apparently became a supervillain later, so of course he wasn't. As it happens, Sue and Johnny are trained and know how to fight in a situation like this, so their first idea is to seal Hyperion up in a force field bubble. While she can hold him for a bit, his punches are strong enough to cause a nosebleed in Sue from the strain. Also, I'm starting to wonder if Ultimate Sue Storm is possessed by the alien from the Thing from Another World, Eternal Vows, because her hair keeps moving around like it has a mind of its own. Anyway, she doesn't think she can hold him for long, so she opens up a small hole in the bubble to allow the Human Torch to, well, torch him. How about a little fire, Scarecrow? You realize in this analogy that makes you the Wicked Witch, right, Johnny? Hyperion, being a Superman XP, completely ignores the flames and just keeps punching at the force field hard enough to knock Sue back a bit. Thor goes to help her while Johnny unleashes his full power on the sphere, and I'm just frankly wondering how that fire is still going when all the air in that bubble must have run out. Sure, there's a hole, but he's just pouring more fire into said hole. I don't think any oxygen can get inside fast enough to refill it. And it does nothing. Hyperion shoots some heat vision, or whatever he has in this universe, laser eyes, and blows up the force bubble. Johnny falls, having expended his flame, but fortunately Sue manages to save him with a force field bubble, somehow having arrived at the ground before him. I don't know, maybe Thor put her down there earlier? Either way, it did wonders for her unkempt hair. And now Hyperion's naked, and a pissed off Thor is ready to hit him with Mjolnir, but Hyperion stops him and even takes the weapon away. I admit, I don't know if the Ultimate Universe hammer has the same enchantment as the regular one, but it definitely seems to surprise Thor.
Odin's blood! No, your blood.
I mean, technically speaking, being Odin's son, I do have Odin's blood too.
He knocks Thor out and drops him to the ground, letting go of Mjolnir too, since he doesn't really need it. Back at the helicarrier, Fury says their target is this universe's version of Washington, D.C. How can we even be sure they have a version of D.C.? Maybe this version of Earth is run by Russia, or China, or New Jersey. Welcome to Minneapolis, Minnesota, capital of the United States. Ooh, helicarrier in the sky. That's different. Why don't you come on down? Wally's gonna take us ice fishing later. He's pretty certain that DC is the same in both universes, and that that's where they'll find Reed. Come, Pietro. Let us hope that his certainty about the location of Reed Richards is not the same as the vaunted American certainty about the locations of weapons of mass destruction. Topical! Also, you're banging your brother, Wanda. Don't think I've forgotten about that. Boy, is it awkward to see Cyclops in the same room as Quicksilver, considering Pietro's the one who assassinates him at the end of Ultimatum. Spidey and Cap secretly talk to each other through a notepad. Nick knows something he's not telling us. What? How? Why? See, even Spidey knows that the true question is, why is Gamora? Fury notices them doing this.
You ladies got something to say?
And Spidey stuffs the note in his mouth.
It is admittedly funny. No, sir. Good. Keep it that way. I see nothing wrong with you guys passing secret notes around. Certainly nothing to be worried about. I am so good at my job.
Down in DC, Reed is taken from his cell.
Sir, you're to come with us.
Why?
You're being transferred to a more secure location.
I'm not entirely sure that's an answer to why. I don't think Reed quite understands how it works when you're a prisoner.
I'm not cleared for that kind of information.
It's a lot of backup for someone who gave himself up peacefully. Is there a problem?
I'm not cleared for that kind of information either.
What kind of information are you cleared for?
I'm not cleared for that kind of information.
I see you're not cleared to be funny either. Also, I can't be certain because Land kept everyone's faces in the shadows, so the color tones could just be wrong, but I'm pretty sure the guard he's talking to switches hairstyle, color, and eventually his skin color within 3 panels. When the area starts rumbling, Reed stretches his head into an air vent that leads outside so he can look at what's happening. And so issue 5 ends with him spotting the superheroes of the two universes fighting each other. I wasn't originally planning on doing anything more, but honestly, this thing felt really short. Another example of how terribly paced the comic is. So let's dig into issue 6 and continue on.
There are some things you never see more than once in your lifetime. Like Marvel, you shouldn't see that more than once. Or just see it 0 times. 0 is good too. And as Nick Fury looked out the window of the helicarrier, he knew that this was at least 5 of them.
Huh, 5 clouds that look like bunnies. Neat. The Squadron Supreme rallied to combat the heroes, with Blur and Quicksilver engaged in a super speed brawl, and Dr. Spectrum unsuccessfully blasting Iron Man. Welcome to the Rangers! So, now that we've learned you like to accessorize with jewelry, what else you got? The only shiny thing I want to see is a liquor bottle. Does alcohol taste different in your universe? On the ground, Power Princess fights Ben Grimm. We see you. Did he have a cloaking device on? They punch each other, with Land repeating a particular shot of Ben Grimm that he loves to reuse that makes him look like a 3D Pac-Man. Back in the building where Reed is being kept, he meets up with Dr. Burbank, that Lex Luthor equivalent from the Supreme Power universe. He requests the chance to get his friends to stand down, since he's voluntarily trying to help. He even demonstrates that their restraint device isn't working on him, and he could leave at any time, but Burbank says he has a solution to his problem. And that involves getting Reed unconscious with a knockout gas. Wait a second. Are you telling me the guy who was transparently evil in issue 4 and talked about how much he wanted to talk to Hitler about murdering people was evil? What a twist! Back on the helicarrier, Fury asks the Scarlet Witch why she hasn't joined the battle. She reveals that she can sense the Squadron Supreme's own magic user, Arcana, and is kind of afraid to try to fight her given the nature of her powers. For instance, she has the power to be clearly traced from porn. Actually, it's that her powers— Good lord, that artwork! This is what happens when you trace from multiple different sources and Frankenstein them together. Those legs do not go with that torso, and I'm pretty sure her arms are different lengths and widths. Also, her hairstyle, of course, changes between panels because that's just par for the course. Anyway, she's worried about Arcana's powers. I sense that her powers come not from traditional sources. Because, of course, chaos magic, or magic just in general, is a traditional source in the Marvel Universe. But from an understanding of the quantum mechanical forces that are the very underpinnings of reality. To set my powers against hers might cause, well, for lack of a better term, an implosion of natural laws.
Yeah?
Yeah?
What's that mean?
That it could potentially tear this world asunder and destroy it. Given how your body keeps stretching and compressing right now, I'm pretty sure an implosion of natural laws is already happening. Nick Fury does not care.
It's not my world.
You know, what was so great about the Ultimate Universe was that you got to see modern versions of characters without years of continuity baggage. Which apparently meant everyone is really just a colossal dick. Anyway, here's a 2-page spread with more traced artwork, and my belief that this is one of the few shots of Arcana that was not traced from porn. Since I'm pretty sure those spindly, thin legs were actually traced from a rubber bendy doll. With all the heroes now gone, Nick Fury tells the helicarrier staff to wait for the tipping point and goes to arm himself with tons of guns and ammunition. The implication in his narration is that him joining the battle will be said tipping point, but then he goes to his secret Enterprise E room instead. He informs the person inside the room, which now looks more like some kind of training room, though I think there are some L-Cars displays behind some of the stuff in it, that he's going in to grab Reed Richards' probes while everyone's distracted, saying that he'll try to save as many heroes as he can before they run like hell, but the probes are his priority. And the other guy zaps him with red lightning and knocks him out. Fury's attempt to return fire attracts a bunch of shield forces that the unseen person knocks out. And then I'm pretty sure that same guy shows up on the ground and steps on the Wasp and Tom Thumb, who have shrunken down. You stupid fool of a human being! What the hell were you thinking?
Your stupid minds! Stupid! Stupid!
Scarlet Witch and Arcana— Okay, seriously now. What is Greg Land's obsession with drawing Arcana doing the splits? Like, even if it wasn't traced from porn, why only that pose for her? Every battle she's doing that, as if her powers depended on her feet being as far apart as possible. The two are knocked out by the unseen assailant while Dr. Spectrum hears a voice in his head that compels him to stop fighting Iron Man and protect the children.
I must save the children.
And on the ground, Ben Grimm spots the new player and is disbelieving who it is. Back on board the helicarrier, Spider-Man wakes Fury up, saying he stayed behind to get answers from him. Fury insists he let him go, lest everyone on the mission be killed. They run to the bridge and get a fix on who it is who is responsible for this. And so our comic ends with the revelation of who it was who came along. Dr. Doom.
Yes, very nice! A new universe! A new world to conquer! A new tomorrow! A new Doom! Yes, Doom has a new hobby beyond playing a Pokemon Yellow randomized Nuzlocke! Watch the livestream archive. Doom makes sense in context. In the meantime, Doom declares that these comics suck!
Issue 6 is definitely better than issue 5, if only because stuff finally starts happening. But that's at the 2/3 mark of the miniseries. And unfortunately, the artwork continues to do this story no favors, with a lot of unnecessary splash pages and 2-page spreads with Land's standard paint-by-numbers tracing on display. Issue 5 barely has anything happening aside for a battle against Hyperion, who's noticeably absent from the brawl in issue 6. There's not really much more that can be said about this that I haven't already said throughout. It's padded to hell, and the only redeeming factor here is the plot twist with Doom, which honestly doesn't make much sense given what had kind of happened to Ultimate Doctor Doom, but that's a story for another day. Or rather, for Marvel Zombies. Go check out Moarte's old summertime videos covering them for an explanation for what happened there. But yeah, while issue 6 is a marked improvement given the plot is finally developing, this should have happened much earlier and the artwork is terrible. Next time, we begin a 5-week look at comics that were adapted from movies, starting off with our final look at the Batman quadrilogy with Batman Forever's adaptation.
There are some things you never see more than once in your lifetime.
Unlike Greg Land's artwork, wherein we see the same faces and poses ad nauseum.